9. Ruja Ignatova. In 2014, a cryptocurrency frenzy attacked throngs of amateur investors. Many people were drawn to OneCoin. It was advised as a cryptocurrency that was in its early stages, but was on the path to essentially becoming the next Bitcoin. As a bonus, investors were offered commission for selling OneCoin to others. But the self-described cryptocurrency wasn't backed by the same blockchain technology as others, and it was essentially worthless. And its commission program was nothing more than a Ponzi scheme, according to the FBI, which announced in 2022 that they were looking for the scheme's mastermind. The alleged brains behind the illicit operation, a Bulgarian woman in her 40s named Ruja Ignatova, is accused of scamming investors out of roughly $4 billion, leaving many people financially devastated. She was last seen boarding a flight from Bulgaria to Greece in 2017. Investigators believe that she made off with around $500 million, and that she has very convincing fake identity documents and has changed her appearance. And with the kind of money she's thought to have at her disposal, she can definitely afford to stay hidden for a long time. But law enforcement believes that members of the public may be able to help them track her down, and are offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to Ignatova's arrest. 8. Evan Baltierra. While attending the annual BlizzCon gaming convention in Anaheim in 2019, former police officer Evan Baltierra asked a popular female professional gamer to be his Valentine. She politely declined, and she said she had a boyfriend. After the event, he messaged the woman, known only as Nolly, and asked if he could come visit her in Canada. His advances made her uncomfortable, so she blocked him. The rejection infuriated Baltierra, who harassed and threatened Nolly relentlessly for nearly 2 years using hundreds of fake profiles. At one point, he hired someone to Photoshop her face onto images of naked women, then posted the photos online and sent them to the victim's friends and family. Things got so bad that the company who hosts the gaming conventions Nolly attended hired extra security to keep her safe at events. Nolly obtained an order of protection in early 2021, but Baltierra's behavior only got worse. He plastered her name and other personal details on the internet and relentlessly harassed her during her live streams, forcing her to quit streaming. A few months later, he finally agreed to stop contacting Nolly's friends and family in exchange for the restraining order being dropped. Baltierra then called Nolly's local police department and falsely reported that she was suicidal and tried tricking the dispatcher into giving him her home address. In early 2022, he started threatening her online again, in one case telling her to get a casket ready. Several months later, Baltierra pleaded guilty in federal court to stalking, which carries a sentence of up to 5 years in prison. Hopefully, it marks the end of the years-long nightmare for Nolly. 7. Millionaire Mastermind. When a father from Oxford, England, noticed his son spending excessive time on the computer, he thought the teen was playing games. He was shocked to learn in 2022 that the boy is a prolific hacker who operated under the names White and Breachbase as one of the leaders of a cyber extortion gang called Lapsus. In just a few years, he had amassed an estimated $14 million fortune right under his parents' noses through his illicit cyber activities. Roughly a year before his arrest, authorities began tracking White and soon connected him to the hacking group. Lapsus was a relatively new cyber gang that gained major notoriety over a short time period for its successful exploits of major technology companies like Microsoft, and for its data leak channel on the Telegram app, where members posted information about their cyber attacks. Experts are unsure of its origins, but speculate that the group may be based in South America. Lapsus became largely inactive by April of 2022, but its victims continue to endure lasting damage, Law enforcement learned White's identity when he failed to cover his tracks and made his activity traceable. But they held off on arresting him while the investigation continued. He then had a falling out with some business partners who posted his photo, personal details, and information about his hacking accomplishments and criminal affiliations online. White and 6 other suspects were arrested in England in October of 2022 and were released pending further investigation. In the meantime, White's father told the BBC that he and the teen's mother are going to try keeping him off the computer from now on, which is probably a good idea. 6. Hana Kimura. In 2019, Japanese professional wrestler Hana Kimura starred in a reality TV show called Terrace House. The show films groups of young men and women who are temporarily living together. During one episode that aired in early 2020, 22-year-old Kimura accused one of her housemates of damaging her wrestling gear, and they got into an argument. The scene generated a lot of hatred toward the young woman on social media in the form of name-calling and racist remarks, and it sent her spiraling into a depression. 2 months later, Kimura was found dead in her Tokyo apartment after posting some disturbing photos of herself online, along with some of the hurtful comments she had received. Authorities determined that she had taken her own life and arrested 2 men for online abuse. They received light punishments for the crime, which at the time came with a maximum fine of $75 and 30 days in jail. Kimura's family sued a 3rd man in civil court, and he was ordered to pay them $12,000. As a direct result of Kimura's death, and amid a concerning rise in cyberbullying, Japan increased the legally allowable punishments for online insults to up to a year in jail and a fine of up to $2,200. The change marks a turning point in law enforcement's attitude towards cyberbullies, who for many years, and in many countries, have comfortably gotten away with their crimes from behind a screen and without fear of legal trouble. Kimura's family also remains dedicated in their fight against cyberbullying and runs a nonprofit in her memory, dedicated to raising awareness and campaigning for change. 5. Adrian Kuyatkowski. After several musicians noticed that someone had hacked their cloud-based accounts and sold their unreleased songs in 2019, U.S. authorities launched an investigation. They traced the activity to a 23-year-old British man named Adrian Kuyatkowski, who carried out his crime from the comfort of his home in the English town of Ipswich. The case was turned over to the London police, who raided Kuyatkowski's home and seized 7 hard drives containing over 1,200 stolen songs belonging to 89 musicians. Among his most prolific victims were singer Ed Sheeran and American rapper Lil Uzi Vert. Kuyatkowski made around $147,000 from the songs, which he sold on the dark web in exchange for cryptocurrency. He pleaded guilty to a slew of charges, including 14 copyright crimes, 3 counts of computer misuse, 2 counts of possession of criminal property, and 1 charge of converting criminal property, and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. 4. The Hollywood Hacker. Starting in 2010, a jobless Florida man named Christopher Cheney spent up to 20 hours a day stalking people online. He wasn't a very sophisticated hacker, yet he managed to cause massive damage to his victims' lives. Using the "forgot your password" feature, Cheney gained access to dozens of email accounts by correctly answering their security questions, using information that was publicly available. From there, he was able to easily access other accounts belonging to the victims, as well as their personal information and private photos and videos. He also found new victims by browsing through people's contact lists. Cheney mainly targeted celebrities, including Mila Kunis, Christina Aguilera, and Renee Olstead. He publicly leaked intimate photos of actress Scarlett Johansson that were meant for her husband at the time, and humiliated other victims in the same way, and also gained access to details about upcoming movies and other projects that weren't meant for the public. even after the FBI raided his apartment and took his computers, he victimized at least one more person using a different computer. The invasive campaign finally ended when Cheney was charged with numerous crimes in 2011. He pleaded guilty to 9 felony counts, including wiretapping and unauthorized access to protected computers. In a rare move, the judge sentenced him to 10 years in prison, rather than the 6-year sentence that prosecutors were hoping for, followed by 3 years of supervised release. A spokesperson reassured the public that upon Cheney's release, authorities would keep a close eye on both him and his computer activity. 3. Kathy Ann Hendrickson. Sometime during 2015 or 2016, a Washington woman in her 50s named Kathy Ann Hendrickson connected with a man on a dating website and traveled to his home in Trout Creek, Montana. The pair met a few more times before the man, known as John Doe, suspected Hendrickson of stealing his wallet and ended the relationship. In 2018, Hendrickson sent John Doe an email threatening to bring him down. Doe and his friends also began receiving dozens of prank phone calls from numbers they didn't recognize. Then, Hendrickson hacked into his email account and sent threatening emails to herself and several public officials, including the state governor at the time. Some of the messages contained death threats. Hendrickson also forwarded the threats she sent to herself from John Doe's email address to his local sheriff's office and asked them to protect her from him. But her games caught up to her when the FBI searched her house and seized her cell phone, where they found evidence of the harassment. A few days after the raid, Hendrickson called an FBI office and a U.S. Attorney's office using a burner phone that authorities suspected her of having all along. She wanted to know when she would get her primary phone back, but she was hit with a cyberstalking charge instead. Hendrickson was convicted of the charge in early 2022 and was sentenced to 52 months in a federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. 2. David Kaufman. In recent years, men calling themselves incels have terrorized women both online and in real life. Short for involuntary celibate, the term is embraced by men who are fed up with being rejected by women and believe that they're entitled to women's bodies. This troubling misogynistic ideology typically comes with a violent predisposition toward females and the belief that women who turn incels down deserve punishment. Starting in 2019, a self-described incel from Peekskill, New York, named David Kaufman, harassed and threatened at least 2 women using over 50 social media accounts. He made graphic jokes about murdering a Stacy, which is a term incels use for an attractive woman who refuses to sleep with them, made bomb and death threats, and praised Elliot Rodger, an incel who killed 6 people in 2014 after declaring a war on women in a video manifesto he posted online. In one particularly disturbing message, Kaufman sent one of his victims a photo of a deceased woman and wrote, "This is what happened when a woman said no to Elliot Rodger." He went on to mention how he hoped the victim had never said no to someone just like Elliot Rodger. Kaufman made his hatred of females abundantly clear, in one instance stating, "Women have done nothing but spit in my face." In addition to the relentless verbal abuse he inflicted on his victims, Kaufman impersonated the women online. He also researched how to build or illegally buy a gun and conducted surveillance of one victim's home. The predatory troll was charged under New York state law in 2020, and orders of protection were issued for both women, banning him from having any contact with them. Undeterred by the orders, Kaufman continued to harass the victims until he was arrested a few months later by federal authorities. He was convicted of stalking in 2022 and received a 30-month prison sentence, followed by 3 years of federal release, the first 6 months of which he'll serve on house arrest. 1. Jafar Al Salehi. A young Seattle woman was slightly concerned when she began corresponding with a man on a dating app in 2021 and noticed that he knew her last name, even though it wasn't in her profile. She overlooked it and met with 22-year-old Jafar Al Salehi for dinner, then agreed to go to his house afterward. Al Salehi had recently started a new job as a student police officer and insisted on showing the woman his gun and badge, according to a criminal complaint. She declined and went home and decided not to see him again. The woman blocked Al Salehi on social media, but he created a new account and continued to message her and reached out to her on various apps. In one message, he apologized for being rude, but he allegedly continued with the unwanted contact even after the victim made it clear that she wanted to be left alone. He then began text messaging her, even though she had never given him her phone number, leading her to suspect that he had misused police resources to obtain her contact information. She blocked the number and soon received another text from another unknown number. She also blocked. Between Al Salehi's overbearing behavior and his access to a firearm, the woman grew fearful for her safety and went to law enforcement. Al Salehi faces a cyberstalking charge and is suspended from his job without pay while the case plays out in court. Thanks for watching. Would you rather have your most private conversations fall victim to a hacker, or have hundreds of dollars stolen from your bank account and never get a refund for it? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.